Welcome to another episode of VV Rider.
This week we're taking a look at Ford Blue Cruise. I've got a lot of experience with this system. I've already taken it all the way from Jacksonville, Florida to Houston, Texas and back. So I've already done probably, easily 1,200 plus miles using Blue Cruise. Right now I'm literally cruising along Interstate 95 here in Jacksonville at 65, which is the posted speed limit, as you can see. I'm 100% hands-free, so Blue Cruise is working exactly the way Ford says it will. It's very intuitive to use, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you through the process, and I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about some of its strengths, some of its weaknesses, and what I hope it might bring in the future.
The semi-autonomous adaptive cruise control system with hands-free lane keeping works on what Ford calls hands-free blue zones, which make up more than 130,000 miles of North American roads.
So let's go ahead and get started. First off, I'm going to turn it off.
To turn it on, I hit this button on the steering wheel. There's also another button on the steering wheel, which is lane keeping.
So the lane keeping system is off. So to start from scratch, I would turn my lane keeping system on, and I would go ahead and turn on Blue Cruise. Blue Cruise is going to come on almost instantaneously depending on the situation. That's not always the case. And it's going to start with the cruise speed setting that I was going at when I hit the button, which in this case is 65. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and lower it to the speed limit. And at this point, I am safely hands-free as long as I concentrate and am ready to take back control. So what this system is not, it is not a system that's going to do a bunch of evasive maneuvers. So for example, if that Honda that just passed me all of a sudden came in my lane, yeah, it might slam on the brakes, but it's not going to take everything into account and make what might be the best evasive maneuver. You've still got to be prepared to either speed up, slow down, change lanes, whatever the traffic situation may dictate. Basically, think of Blue Cruise as an automated lane keep system. It will maintain speed. It will speed up and slow down as traffic dictates. And when I say speed up and slow down, it'll never go above the speed you set, but what it will do is slow down as it approaches traffic. If a car gets too close to you in front, it's going to slow down to compensate. It does fine taking curves. In fact, I'm coming into a curve here on I-95 right now. As you can see, the steering wheel is turning to accommodate the curve in the road. No problem. Traffic is going around me because, of course, most people aren't going to be driving the speed limit. At least that's the way it is here in Jacksonville. And it's going to handle those situations quite nicely. Now, what I do need to be aware of, though, again, are surprises that fellow motorists may give me. Blue Cruise isn't perfect. Sometimes it will go ahead and turn itself off. Maybe it runs into a lane divider it doesn't quite understand, or, if it's raining really hard, it'll definitely go ahead and turn itself off and tell you to take back control. So it is sort of a fair weather friend. Although in light rain, most of the time it will go ahead and still work as expected. One of the things that's both good and bad about Blue Cruise, it is constantly keeping track of speed limits. And when you're in an urban area like this one, speed limits do change. So, for example, in a couple miles here, the speed limit's going to go up to 70. And what Blue Cruise will do, bam, it'll move up to 70 as it detects that new speed limit. Reverse is true as well. Let's say there's a work area and the traffic speed limit slows to 55. It's going to slow to 55. Now, while that sounds good, and it kind of is, it's also something you must be very aware of, because you have to keep in mind what the traffic around you is doing. And let's face it, in most areas, the speed of traffic is probably going to be above posted speed limits. And just because the speed limit drops doesn't mean the flow of traffic is going to drop at the same time. And you have to be aware of that. The last thing you want to do is be rear-ended because Blue Cruise did something that surprised the motorist behind you. So always be prepared for things that Blue Cruise may do that other motorists may not anticipate it doing. But as you can see, it's been handling the situation in this demo quite well. Now, I'll also say that Blue Cruise has failed on me. It failed in Mississippi. Not only did Blue Cruise fail, but Ford's built-in navigation system failed too. It was almost like it lost the GPS signal, and this went on for many miles. So what I did, I tried to reboot Ford Sync, which you can do. You can go ahead and use 2 keys over here to reboot Ford Sync, but that didn't fix it. So I went another, say, 40, 50 miles. I did a second reboot, and that brought the system back. Since then, it's been fine. I haven't run into that scenario again, so I don't know if it was unique or not, but something to be aware of. Now, you may have noticed I'm now going 70, and that was due to Blue Cruise. We've just passed the Beltway I-295 here in Jacksonville, and because we have, the speed limit just went up to 70, so Blue Cruise has matched that speed limit. Now, another thing about Blue Cruise, it will not change lanes for you. It's not an autonomous system. It's only semi-autonomous. So, for example, if I wanted to get in the right lane, I turn my signal on. As you can see, Blue Cruise has returned control back to me, although I always have control. And once I'm in the lane and I take my turn signal off, Blue Cruise will take a minute to figure things back out again. And as you can see, we're now back to hands-free. One of the things that I think is so strong about Blue Cruise is that it is truly a hands-free system. Both Ford and General Motors have true hands-free systems, whereas in the case of Tesla's autopilot, you do have to put your hand back on that steering wheel once about every 25 seconds or so. What Tesla does, Tesla has a sensor in the steering wheel itself that it needs to know that you've got your hand on that wheel every once in a while. But what Ford and General Motors do, they have an eye tracking system. So this here is actually keeping track of my eyes and my face. And if I turn away long enough, which I don't want to do because obviously that would be unsafe, but if I did, what it would do, it would flash a warning. And if I didn't quickly return, it would start slowing down and it would shut down.
You may have noticed a flashing light on the face sensor. While my camera picked that up, it is invisible to the human eye. Ford started rolling out Blue Cruise in 2021 with the Mustang Mach-E and F-150 and says it will be adding new features to it in the coming years with over-the-air software updates. Although, unlike Tesla, Ford hasn't made any claims that its existing Blue Cruise hardware will eventually become fully autonomous. While Blue Cruise works as advertised, I would like to see its lane centering improved. Occasionally, it will veer slightly from one side of a lane to another, as though it's trying to find its center bearing. Another con, it's capped at no more than 80 miles an hour. Unless Ford has built in some geographic exceptions, that means its usefulness would be limited in a state like Texas, where the speed limit is 85. Right now, Blue Cruise isn't available on most secondary roads, but Ford says it's working on regular mapping updates that will add thousands of miles of additional roads. In the Blue Cruise story on the web at evrider.tv, you'll find a detailed Blue Cruise setup and operational video tutorial. If you've got any questions about Blue Cruise, let me know in the YouTube comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you've enjoyed this episode of EV Rider, please give it a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel.